Welcome back to the homestead, everybody. Today we have something exciting we're doing. We are going out to a local fishery. We're going to be picking up some fish, some stock for our pond. We're going to be getting some crappie, some grass carp, some bluegill, some bass, and I wanted to take y'all with us. But that's not the point in today's video. In today's video, I wanted to tell you why and how you should be preparing for food shortages and skyrocketing food prices. So let's get right into it. So obviously most of these videos start like this. People showing their food stores, showing what canned goods they have and all of that stuff. I'm gonna treat this video a little bit differently. This is gonna be from the perspective of sustainability and homesteading. So how can I prepare for food shortages? How can I prepare for skyrocketing food prices sustainably? Something that is going to be able to be kept up over the long term. This is nice, having food stores. If you're in a crisis so far as hurricane, tornado, any weather crisis at all, it's nice to have food stores on hand if you can't get to the grocery store. So these are nice, but this is not the point in this video. But we'll take just a minute and I'll show you where we get our food stores from and tell you a little bit about them. We got all of our food stores from a place called Azure Standard. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check them out. It's basically just a company that you can order bulk food from. They have a lot of healthy options, organic options, all of that good stuff for a decent price. And then they do local drop-offs in your area. So whether that be a parking lot at a school or something like that, they have a drop-off area for where you're located. We took them, we put them in Mylar bags, and then we put them in food-safe 5-gallon buckets, and then we put gamma lids on top. I'll leave all of these supplies in the description below. You can check them out on Amazon if you want to. If not, that's good too. So this is how we treat our food stores. This is not a end-all be-all for us. This is a short-term solution. Like I said before, we want to get into what's a long-term solution for a crisis that might last a little bit longer. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of turmoil going on in the nations right now. And we see and feel the effects of inflation. We feel it in the food prices, and we feel it in the gas prices. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to share about how you can prepare for food shortages and rising food prices, no matter where you are. If you live in an apartment, if you live on 200 acres, there's always solutions if you want to pursue them. So anyway, that's our food stores. Let's jump right into the next topic. So we're still in my basement, and the first thing I wanted to touch on, because I'm right here next to the incubator, is our chickens. We have about 25 chickens on the hill, but we have one rooster. That's the crucial piece here. If you are currently doing backyard chickens, think about getting a rooster. I know people think they're a nuisance, they're loud, whatever it is. And some people can't have them because of homeowners associations and neighborhood rules and all that good stuff. If you have the ability, go out and get yourself a rooster. The reason being is because I got this incubator. I'll show you behind me. I got this for about 25 bucks on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check it out. There's tons of them. You don't have to get this one, but they're all very simple. This one I probably can fit, I don't know, 12, 14 eggs in, something like that. Right now we have, I think, like 10 eggs in here, and I put them in on March 9th. And so we're gonna be hatching out in about 5 days here, something like that. This is a crucial asset to being sustainable when it comes to food shortages and rising food costs. The fact that I can go up on my hill, I know that most of my eggs are fertile because our rooster is a rock star and gets it done all day. I can grab some of those eggs, I can put them in my incubator, and 21 days later, I can have chickens. Now, these are not meat chickens. These are just your standard backyard hens. Most of them are for laying. But when it comes down to it, in the middle of crisis, what you could do with a big flock, it's not your traditional meat chicken, but you can still use those chickens as food. And if you don't have chickens, think about going out and getting yourself some chickens. It doesn't take a lot of work to take care of chickens. If you're a beginning homesteader, or you're an aspiring homesteader, or you just live somewhere with tight confines and you can't even do a whole lot of homesteading, if you can build a quick little small chicken coop and keep 2 or 3 chickens in it, great. That's an awesome resource that's going to be huge, not only for you, but for your neighbors and people around you. And the last thing I wanted to touch on chickens is just a cool point, but this is a old newspaper ad. I'm sure some of you have seen it. I saw it posted on social media, but I'll just read it to you, and I'll put a thumbnail here in the corner of the screen of it. But this is from the US government. Uncle Sam expects you to keep hens and raise chickens. 2 hens in the backyard for each person in the house will keep a family in fresh eggs. Anyway, I thought that was cool. But that's the point. You keep hens in your backyard, they not only provide for your family, but they can provide for your neighbors as well. So that's chickens, number 1. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is growing from your own seeds. And this is super important. You know, the reason I titled this video, How You Can Prepare Now, is because there's certain steps that you need to do ahead of time. There's certain things that you need to work through and learn before you can successfully grow your own food. And so one of those things is starting your own crops from seed. This is super important. To not be reliant on somebody else to go get starts, to run to the store, to make sure, you know, every spring that you go to the store and you get your own starts. But the point that you have your own seeds and you can produce your own food from those seeds. Now, I know from experience, we were not good at growing our own crops from seed. It takes learning, it takes experience. And so it's not something that you can just learn overnight and expect to have everything solved when you wake up in the morning and there's a real crisis at hand and you have to grow your own food. Start planting your own plants from seeds, and whether you are successful or you fail, it doesn't matter. Start learning how to do it now so that when something comes in the future, you're ready, you're prepared. I'll show you a little bit. I've touched on this in recent videos that I did, and videos I've done in the past of how you can do all this in your basement or your house, you know. We have this thing behind me. This is our germination station. I did a video on it. This is where we germinate all of our seeds. We have seeds in there right now. I'll leave a link in the description below where I really cover the power of this germination box and how we use it. And then these are, in that video that I did, these are the starts that we did. These are peppers and these are tomatoes. We're getting those done early. But the big thing is having your own setup, whether that's, you know, with nice lights or a nice setup, or whether that is just something very basic. You know, there's all sorts of resources on YouTube where you can go and find, you know, the very cheapest way to do this stuff, you know. I'm not using the very cheapest way, but we have in the past. There's all sorts of things you can do. You can build a cold frame. You can germinate inside your germination box. You can pull them out, build a cold frame, and get them out in the weather. There's all sorts of resources out there. So starting now, not waiting, and figuring out some of these things ahead of time is going to be crucial for the success of how you're going to deal with these things in the future. So that's number 2, learn to grow your own food from seed. Now, this isn't directly related to the shortage of food or food prices, but I did want to touch just briefly on being sustainable when it comes to water. This is tricky. In our case, we have a pond. The reason we built this pond is because we wanted to irrigate our raised bed garden and our greenhouse that we have over here from the pond. And so that was one of our main motivating factors. The other thing we kind of had in the back of our head was, hey, if there's any sort of crisis and for some reason the, you know, city water, which we live in a city, the city water goes down and we can't have access to water, well, this is a very complete solution. The other piece of it is having some sort of filtration system, you know, whether that's very simple like having a Berkey, you know, with charcoal filters. A lot of people have that. Great solution. You know, really, we could take this pond water, we could put it in our Berkey in the house, and we could have nice filtered water in about an hour or 2 hours, something like that. So think about getting a filtration system. It's not a water shortage. Maybe there's something wrong with the water in the midst of a crisis, a weather crisis or something, some sort of infrastructure piece, some sort of infrastructure element gets messed up, and now you find yourself having to filter water. But the other thing I wanted to touch on in our pond is utilizing things on your property or that you have in your control to be able to grow food with. You know, in this case, obviously, we're going to be going to the local fishery. It's called Raccoon Valley Fisheries, just about 45 minutes away from us. And today we're getting fish. We're going to be stocking this pond. One of the reasons for that is because We have leeches growing in here that need predators, and so the fish will be eating the leeches. We also grow some algae during the summer in this pond, and we want to remedy that. So we're going to be getting some grass carp, we're going to be getting some bass, some bluegill, some crappie, and all those fish. But the point is that later, if we had to, we could come back and eat some of these fish as they populate our pond. So the point in me telling you that is, look around at what you have available to you and say, how could this produce food in the future? That's a way to become sustainable when it comes to a food shortage or rising food costs. And the other thing I wanted to hit on is livestock. Obviously, we talked about the chickens. That's something that most folks can do. If you're in a situation where you can raise chickens, do that. I highly recommend it. But the other thing I wanted to touch on is, if you have the ability, if you have the land availability, if you have, multiple acres, and if you have the ability to have livestock, think about getting into it now. We've had kuni pigs. These are our pigs. This is Philly. That's Ryder. That's Corey. That's Otis. That's Fern. And then there's all of our beautiful chickens. And then that's Big Fat Duck. We've had livestock now for, I don't know. I'm not even going to try to guess. I'm really bad with dates and times, so I'm not going to go there right now. But the point is that we have had to learn so much when it comes to keeping and taking care of livestock. Whether it comes to dealing with disease and sickness, when it comes to shelter and food and mating systems, fencing. So there's so many things when it comes to livestock that you have to learn from experience. Not everybody's the same. You're not going to take care of pigs the same way that I take care of pigs, and we're not going to take care of chickens the same way. So these are things that you need to learn ahead of time, and that you can always start small. Chickens are a great way to start to get into livestock. And I think if there's a next step after chickens, it would be pigs for me. Pigs or goats. We haven't done goats. We're thinking about getting into it in the future, but pigs are extremely social animals, very kind for the most part, depending on what kind of breed you get and how you treat them at a young age. But they are very social animals, and they're fun. They're fun for kids. They are fun for adults. I love our pigs, but they also multiply like rabbits, which is great for food. If for some reason I wouldn't eat these pigs because these are kind of our mainstays, but when it comes down to it, in the midst of a food shortage, if we had to, we could harvest some of these pigs. Now, I know that's, some viewers might not like that, but honestly, at the end of the day, when it comes to homesteading and our way of life and what we want to pursue in the future, this is definitely something that we are going to pursue in the future. Right now, we're just raising our pigs for sale, so we just breed them and sell them. Kunis are super popular right now, so we've been doing that. But we have no problem in the future, in the midst of a food shortage, if we had to harvest our pigs, then we could do that as well. The next thing I wanted to touch on is perennials. In this case, food. So we're going to be talking about berries. We're going to be talking about grapes. We're going to be talking about fruit trees, that type of stuff. One thing that we have over here on our berry patch is we have blackberries, we have raspberries, and we have obviously our grapes behind us. But the point is that these things produce fruit every single year without a whole lot of upkeep. Even blueberries, I have some blueberry bushes here on the ground behind me. Even blueberries, a lot of these things, they're easy to grow. You plant them once and they produce every single year, as long as you tend to them a little bit, as long as they're getting enough water and all that good stuff. And so these are super, super good resources for food in the future. So think about that. If you have the ability to plant a fruit vine or a fruit tree, trees are amazing. They take a little bit more experience when it comes to pruning, but we have some fruit trees here on this side of the property. If you have the ability to plant some fruit trees, do that. That's a great resource, and the ability to harvest some of that fruit in the future. All right, we're gonna load up in the car and head out to the fishery and grab our fish for the pond.
In a quarter mile, your destination will be on the left.
Watch out. Okay, you hold this one. You got it. These are bass.
Yay!
We're gonna get those in. Next year they'll be 14 inches, did he say?
He said from one year from now they'll be 12 to 17 inches long.
Yeah.
He said 1 foot.
So, whoa!
Ready?
Goodbye to the bass.
Bye, bassies.
That's it, take that.
Sorry, can you watch out, sweetie part?
Don't catch him. Don't catch him. Let it get you.
There you go. All right, say bye, minnows.
Bye, minnows.
All right, next is the grass cart.
Oh, they're big.
The big one.
All right, say bye to the grass cart.
Bye, girl. Get those shoestrings.
Who threw
Go, got you shoestrings.
Bluegill.
Bluegill. Bluegill. Bluegill.
All the grass carts are just sitting on the shore.
I did. Don't touch it.
They'll go in.
Nanny.
Say bye to the bluegill.
Bye, Bluegill. Bye, Bluegill. Bye. Oh, no, there's more in there.
Missed a few.
There's more in there. There's more in there.
Walk her now.
No, put him down. Put him down. Put him down. Other way.
All right, guys, so we got our fish in the pond. Super excited about that. That's a long time coming. We've been working on that pond for over 2 years now, something like that. And for us to be able to get to a place of permanency and be able to put fish, which is a long-term plan, in our pond is a huge step. So we're super excited. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, or I sparked some creativity or some energy underneath you to go out and to make sure that you, your family, your friends, your neighbors are sustained in some form or fashion when it comes to food shortages and rising food costs. At the end of the day, I want to encourage everybody, whether it has to do with food shortages and rising food costs or not, we should all in some form or fashion be doing something where our hands are getting in the dirt. We're growing our own food. We're understanding where our food comes from, because ultimately my belief is that's where we're going to experience more life. We're going to experience more joy out of life. So, and last thing, remember, I am doing a product giveaway in my next video where I highlight the irrigation system that I'm doing with these raised beds here on this side of the property. So be sure to follow that one. I am giving away 3 irrigation systems that I'm going to introduce in that video. And if you haven't already, if you want to stay connected with our journey, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit all, and you'll receive all of our notifications when we release videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.